The long-awaited pre-orders for the new Atari VCS console have officially opened up today, and with that we have gained some extra knowledge on what the system actually is, what it does, how it does, why it does, and who it does. There's still a lot of questions on how this will work in practice, but for this game talk today, we're going to be discussing the Atari VCS models, Indiegogo campaign, and if you should be investing in it. Let's roll. First things first, this is Atari's first real home console in the last 25 years since the absolute catastrophe that was the Atari Jaguar. Since then, Atari hasn't done too much other than license out their games to be made into compilations, flashback systems, and the usual dead company sort of thing. So the fact that Atari is going all in during the heated arms race that is the home console market at the moment is pretty interesting. The campaign is really pushing some nostalgia buttons through the 80s aesthetic marketing, wood grain console designs, and even a fancy as hell new joystick for the VCS. However, up until today we didn't actually know what was going to be inside the gorgeous little box, so let's get into that. There are currently two different models of the VCS available for pre-order. We've got the standard Onyx console that is $199 for just the system, no controllers or anything. And the collector's edition, which has a beautiful wood grain finish on the front as well as one of the new Atari joystick controllers in the box, clocking in around $299. There are separate bundles and pre-orders that offer either the joystick standalone or the new Xbox One, Atari Modern controller. Luckily, the system itself claims to be compatible with other gamepads, so owning the Atari branded versions isn't absolutely necessary, though they are pretty nice looking. The system itself is giving me a pretty strong Steambox vibe. It claims to be able to contain PC power inside of a console package. It's running a fancy Linux OS, but what has it got for hardware? So the unit itself is sporting an AMD Bristol Ridge processor and an AMD Radeon R7 GPU. While it doesn't directly specify which of the R7s that the box is going to be containing, they're a pretty decent line of cards. While you won't be playing anything on max settings, I imagine you wouldn't have a tough time running most modern games on lower or medium settings. For the $200 price tag, I think this is to be expected. It's not like they're packing a top-tier gaming PC into this little rectangle for a measly $200. Onto the other specs. The unit only contains 32GB of internal storage, but supports external hard drives as well as SD cards. Think about the same storage as the Switch, but the external drive support really makes this less of a hassle than the former. The last interesting bit is 4GB of DDR4 RAM. To put this in perspective, that's half of what the Xbox One S contains, and it really isn't the best look for something in 2018. While it won't make or break any games, I can see this putting a damper on the longevity of the launch day version of the system. If I had to guess a spot somewhere on the spectrum, I'd place the VCS somewhere between the 360 and the Xbox One in the power department. At least it's cheaper than the other consoles, I guess. Onto the more software side of things, the Atari VCS comes preloaded with 100 classic Atari games, which, if that's just the icing on the cake to a great selection of other titles, that's pretty fantastic. However, there's been little announcement rather than buzzwords as to what other games will be playable on the VCS. Atari claims to be making strides in allowing indie developers to easily put their games on the VCS, and even going as far to make a chunk of their Indiegogo campaign on instructing devs how to get their games on the system. I can definitely respect that level of forward thinking, and I really think that the VCS may turn out to be a great home for indie titles if curated correctly, like we've been seeing with the Nintendo Switch. The VCS also boasts the ability to import your own apps and games using the Linux sandbox, which really gives me the vibe that if something isn't available, you can make it be, as well as giving the VCS plenty of power as an all-in-one emulator system. If that turns out to be the case, that would be actually really cool. The compatibility with any USB hardware gives the chance to use USB throwback controllers for emulated games, really hoping that comes to fruition. On the social side of the system, the unit supports Discord and Skype as means for communication, which is pretty sweet. I've been praying every night before bed that my home consoles would let me use Discord on them, so I'm glad at least somebody was listening. And as with all home consoles, Atari has confirmed that the unit will require a subscription service to play online. While this isn't a surprise, because frankly everyone does this nowadays, it's disappointing to an extent. I own all of the modern consoles, and I'm not really looking to throw another yearly online subscription for something that is generally included as a free bonus for being a PC player. If Atari is really trying to make this like a PC, this is somewhat of an unfortunate step back into one of the downsides of being a console, but oh well. Ultimately, the true value of the system remains to be seen until we can actually see what the console plays, how well it plays them, and how the online will look and cost. With that said, should you pre-order it? I'd be lying if I said I didn't have a really strong gut instinct telling me to lock in a pre-order on this system, but the logical side of me tells me that there just isn't enough concrete information yet. The 33% discount on the system only lasts a week, and the collector's edition is a limited stock item, so it's a bit of a toss-up. If you're a collector, I'd say lock in that collector's edition and throw caution to the wind. If it's as limited as they say, then maybe you'll have a nice turnaround profit once it comes out next year. If you're only looking to play on it, then that's a little bit tougher. The funding goal has been smashed, so there's no threat of this not hitting the market next year. The only thing you have to lose with waiting is the discount. As for me personally, I don't know, I'll probably pre-order it. I don't have enough self-control not to. And that's all for my Atari VCS discussion. Hope you guys learned a thing or two, and maybe I was lucky enough to steer you in one direction or another. If you've decided whether or not you'll be purchasing it, let me know in the comments down below. And if you absolutely loved this video, go ahead and throw a subscribe my way for more videos like this one. Have a great rest of your day.